Now, say my name.
The Rolling Bad Podcast.
You're goddamn right.
Welcome to the Rolling Bad Podcast, episode number 35, coming to you from the desolate wastelands of Albuquerque, New Mexico. We're recording on November 11th, and I am your host, Elric Edge. And with me tonight are
Bill Costello
and James Tapia.
You better hope this is all coming through clear, Bill, because we didn't do a sound check at the beginning of this.
You're right, we didn't.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh.
So tonight's episode, if you can even hear us, I'm hoping Bill turned everything on. Otherwise, we're going to have a Bravery 1 moment.
Oh, and you yell at me for dog and spiky bits?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, people actually mentioned that. Yeah. Anyways, so tonight's episode, we're going to talk about all the cool stuff that's come out. Actually, lots of random cool bits.
Yeah.
Some of it's actually really useful.
Really
I'm looking
cool.
forward to. We're going to talk about, standard games and hobby and everything. And then in our juicy realm of lore section, we're going to do two separate topics. We're going to talk about...
Somewhat related.
Yeah, we're going to talk about ways to kind of make up your mind on how to start a new army, what all it entails. Maybe something that might help you make up your mind, because I know a lot of people can waffle on that pretty hard. Yeah, Ryan.
Chad.
Yeah, right. And then what was our other topic you wanted to talk about, Bill?
The other one was, are we getting too much from Games Workshop?
Oh.
Is stuff coming out too fast and furious?
Yeah, this is a topic that's kind of like spiked up here and there on Twitter. Yeah. People have asked. So.
Yeah, there's been a couple of videos, and there's also been some interesting talk about this in other venues, other gaming venues, about is too much stuff coming to market right now. Everyone is publishing games.
Right.
And it's hard to sift through.
I know I've been getting inundated with a lot of Kickstarter notifications for tabletop games, and the quality of models that people are doing for Kickstarter now is like, holy crap.
It's nuts. I mean, I got the Sword and Sorcery Kickstarter, and the models in that are every bit as good as Games Workshop from 3-4 years ago. Right. I'm not saying they're up to their current, but I mean, they're amazingly well done.
Yeah. Well, I know there's that. Well, we'll talk about all this later on.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we are going to announce our hashtag ireadAoS winner at the end of the show. So,
where we will email you our pirated copy of a... Oh, no, wait.
So I will announce the winner, and you will need to get in touch with any one of us on Twitter, so you can DM us your personal information. We can send you your copy of Spear of Shadows.
To include credit card and Social Security.
Preferably, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So, I mean, what's the worst that could happen? We give it to Equifax.
Yeah. They protect everything.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, let's do a show.
The realm of the new dumb, where we're going to talk about all the stuff Bill bought and we'll keep in shrink wrap forever. So
I know that was going to happen.
So all kinds of new hobby stuff has come out. We got the model holder. What is it? What's the official name on that thing?
It is the Citadel model holder, right? Yeah.
Something like that.
It was,
yeah, I'll be getting one.
Or paint holder. Paint thing.
You got several.
Yeah, I got 3 of them.
Yeah.
That's enough for a Shadespire, thing.
Yeah. It's actually pretty handy.
Yeah, they are. They're very cool.
So, and they're not super expensive like everybody thought initially. They're only $8.
Well, and that was the big thing that I thought was going to, kill it, was it was going to come out and be like a $15 thing when, there's so many companies out there offering really cool ones for way cheaper, but coming in at $8, so you're going to be paying $6 for them if you have any kind of discount. Yeah. They're really cool. I like them.
And then we got the new paint pot holder thing.
The water?
Yeah.
Well, I only got this because I hit the one-click bundle.
Of course you did.
Yeah, I already have 3 of these, but this one has a black top. The old ones have a gray top, so now I'll be able to tell which one's my metallic jar versus my. Okay, yeah, I'm trying to justify.
Actually, you laugh about that, but that's a
Yeah,
legitimate.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you have to have. I have 3 of the older ones here. 1 for straight water, 1 for metals, and 1 for normal paints. So you need the straight water for cleaning with brush soap and all that other stuff, and then you don't want to mix your metals.
So many jokes I want to make.
Stop. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we got the Dark Millennium playing cards.
Yes.
So when your grandmother wants to play Bridge, she can do it in a grim, dark way.
Yes. And these cards are silly. First of all, if you like John Blanche, you're going to love these cards because they're all Blanche.
John Blanche art.
I'm not a huge fan of Blanche's, that motif.
Yeah.
So, and also it's like, I play the 3 of Mechanicum. It's like,
really?
There's no one, unless they're in our world, is going to play with these cards. So yeah, they're sort of a joke. But,
I don't know. I'd check them out. What else we got?
We have the STC Rise of Ruins.
So this is basically a separate box of the Moonbase Classius stuff.
It's 90% of what's in the Moonbase Classius. I opened it up to compare what was in there, and there's 1 sprue in the Moonbase box that's not in this one.
Okay.
But then all the rest is duplicated. But they're different enough that you're not going to sit there and look at your board and go, oh, well, you have 6 copies of the exact same thing. Because all you really have to do is paint them a little bit differently and they'll look.
It complements it pretty well.
Yeah.
What does that weigh in at?
Buck 380? I don't know.
You are the exact reason why they have 1-click bundles.
Yes. And I told you I almost by mistake ordered that $950.
Oh yeah, the painting
every
box.
paint thing. Yeah, it was in my shopping cart, and I don't remember clicking on it, but I was right about to hit. Go ahead and buy it. And I saw it, and I was like, "What the 1,000, 1,400? No, I'm not doing that."
Jeez.
Yeah, I scared myself with that.
All right, next on the block. The Fancy Battle
This is
Journal?
the Warhammer 40K Battle Journal.
Okay.
And this is the Age of Sigmar Battle Journal.
Ooh.
But I got to tell you, these things are an incredible ripoff.
Okay.
They're completely blank. I was kind of thinking that there'd be like some info in here, and they're not.
Oh, on how to win the games? Instead of a way to record all your losses?
Yeah, instead of recording all my losses.
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh, wow.
I think these things, now, I know Ben Curry came out with a set of these himself, and he's a big proponent of doing this, keeping track of your fights and all that stuff. And he actually came out with his own product like this, and I wonder if he's a little, miffed about this. I don't know. I really don't. I looked at his pages, and I think he captures a little more information, but these things will do the trick. 200 pages.
Well, don't you have one of his?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you
I didn't
ordered
order one.
No, I was thinking about ordering.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But no one else wanted to go in, so.
But he did a whole one of his podcasts about why it's really important to write down your battles so that you can go back, in a few months and say, what did I learn from this? What did I learn from that? Have I played this before? And I think it's a really neat idea. I think it's a really great thing. And
How much are these?
they're $25 a piece for a
wow.
200-page book. But like I said, $25 for a blank book? God.
These are really nice.
Yeah, no,
I'm going to have to buy 2 of them.
Yeah. I mean, they're good for tracking. And, I've never really thought about it until he did his podcast about tracking what you were doing. And then I know you jumped on that and you started doing it.
Yeah, I have a little notebook I know, but it's nowhere nice as this.
You said these are 200 pages?
Yeah.
Jeez, Bill, for you and I, that's like
That's
10 years
lifetime.
worth of games. Yeah.
Thank God I didn't buy 2.
We'll actually be able to watch the changes of editions.
Page 1, 8th edition. Page 2, 9th edition. Oh, yeah, we're bad.
All right. What else we got over there in your Santa Claus-esque pile of...
The 2018 Black Library porn calendar came out, so that's really nice.
Swimsuit edition over here.
It's the
Basically,
swimsuit edition.
Hooters and Power Armor.
You haven't seen Celestine until you've seen her in a one piece.
Ooh, this has got both fantasy and 40K.
It's got some really nice covers. The art is really good. It's as good as last year's, the 2017 Black Library.
Is May really Karajan Overlords?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
he's waiting for May.
Yep, that's my jam. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
That is...
Yeah, it's a good little calendar.
Yeah, I might have to get one of these.
And they also came out with the little green measuring tapes, tape measures.
The exact same
to
thing
replace the orange ones, which I like because those are Death Guard.
Yeah, and they're a little bit longer than the orange ones.
They are. The inches are a little bit longer, so you actually get more movement out of these. And other than that, the only other thing I have in this pile is the Eldar stuff. My wife bought the Tyranid Codex and the Tyranid cards, and I got my Craft World
How
cards.
hot is that book?
Oh, the Tyranid
How
stuff.
happy are Tyranid players now?
Oh, they're...
God.
The cool thing, to me, the best thing about that Tyranid book, having, looked through it, it makes everything you have, almost like they've done with every other faction, all the things that you have in your collection are good again. They're useful.
Yeah.
And you can build... There's not just one, you have to have 4 flyer ants, and if you don't have 4 to 5 flyer ants, you lose. Now you can have that, Hormagaunt spewing.
We talked about this briefly before we started recording about how I think the one codex, I know there's people out there that won't agree with this, and that's fine, but it feels like the one codex is not quite up to par with everybody else is the Space Marines.
Yeah.
And I feel like the difference between the Marine Codex and everyone else's stuff is that everyone else has the ability of you can play pretty much anything in your collection. Some things are going to be a little better, obviously.
Yeah.
That's always going to happen. But
there's always
like
stuff
in the
that
Tyranid
bubbles to the
books,
top.
Tyrannofexes are finally something you'll actually see on the table, which is awesome because
you're going to see the Microdons and the Hierodules and all that stuff.
Oh, the Forge World guys.
Well, and the normal stuff.
Yeah,
you're going to see them again.
Whereas it seems like Space Marine armies are still very
Space Marine.
Take one thing and put it around Bobby G, and that's pretty much the only way to play that army. Whereas everybody else, like I've seen battle reports, like the guys at Frontline, where Reese has been playing exclusively Footdar army, as he calls it. And it seems to be doing pretty well. Almost every battle report I've watched in the last 3 weeks has involved Death Guard versus someone else. The only thing I haven't seen Death Guard players put on the table are those new Terminators.
Right.
I have not seen a single one of those on the table, so I don't know if it's because they haven't painted them
or
expensive.
If they're
are they?
For what they bring, they're expensive, and there's better options out there for the point cost.
Yeah,
you're better off doing other things. I kind of like that unit of Blightlord, what's his name, the Death Shroud Guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of their, inherent lookout, sir. Let me eat some wounds for you, boss. So,
right. But yeah, I mean, that's something that's really cool that I've seen from all the books. So, and just announced, we have Chaos Demons, Blood Angels, and Dark Angels are all the next books that'll be coming out by the end of this year.
That's kind of weird. 2 Traitor Legions and one Loyalist. That's sort of weird.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of interested to see what they do with Blood and Dark Angels. And,
very much so.
Everything so far, once it's gotten a codex, has been ramped up. And I don't think there's anything out there right now that's, at first there was this big thought that maybe Astra Militarum was going to be like the thing.
Yeah.
And then the next thing came out and
Eldar.
they're just, Eldar came out and, I'm kind of hoping that they don't go over the top, but they also don't short shrift them.
Yeah, no,
to the point.
I think, like I said, I think the Marine book was a little on the back foot.
I think it's the lowest.
I think everybody else
book
is pretty much right there with each other.
And I think that really the Space Marine book, its only problem is it was the first book. Obviously, it was going to be the first book. And it probably, the production cycle had to be at a certain level that they may not have been able to get everything to the level,
Or maybe they play tested a lot of games with Bobby G.
Yeah, that's true.
And so they felt it was on par.
It was on par, yeah.
And then it was, I mean, I don't know. I
don't know either. And I'm not
wrong.
really, the thing that us Space Marines always have is they are so flexible.
Right.
They're not going to get table turn 1. You're going to be able to bring an army to fight against anybody. You may not, have the instant win button, but I don't really think anybody does right now except James. So,
let's see. Trying to think of other stuff. It looks like
some of the other things we wanted to mention. We'll hit the big elephant here in a second, but part of our New Dawn stuff. Dan Heelan and Wayne Kemp are recording again. So Heelan Hammer is back. They've gone to a, what did they say, bi-monthly, every 2 months?
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they're not gonna be cranking out episodes. They're gonna try to keep it, to something they can do. So we have that to look forward to. Of course, Rob Symes with his Honest Wargamer.
Yeah,
he's doing his unit breakdowns,
pumping out content.
Yeah, if you haven't seen his unit breakdowns, they're really, really cool. They'll take a single war scroll or a single data sheet, and they will rip through it, and they will go through what it does, what it can do, what it synergizes with, and what battalions include it. So if you're doing, like when he did Bloodletters, or, even the Bastillodon, not just, hey, it's a really cool model, and, if you paint it nice, it's really cool. No, it's not that. It's a breakdown of how you use this thing, what it's good for, what the situations it's good in are, and then what battalions use it, and is it effective in that battalion, or is it just cakey fluff? So
you got to make sure they're reviewing the most updated war scroll.
Well, that's always big. Yeah. So.
And I'm trying to think if there's anything new in the video game world. The Space Hulk game for console is coming out here pretty quick.
Yeah. So all the finger twiddlers are going to get to do their little finger twiddly thing.
Yep. And I think that's about it.
Well, there's the one elephant in the room. Necromunda.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Necromunda.
Yeah. I said this afternoon I was not going to buy it. And then I hit the one-click bundle.
Oh, Bill. Oh, Bill.
I'm a completionist with OCD and issues. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're just an American consumer.
Thank you. That's the nicest thing you've ever said about me.
To your face.
Yeah, well, that's true. So, is that it for New Dawn, or have we forgotten anything? I don't think.
Pretty sure that's about it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's move on then to what we've created.
The Realm of Creation, where we're going to talk about what we've been up to in the hobby. Bill, what do you got?
Let's see here. I got a few things, actually, which is strange. I base coated 2 sets of containers and all that stuff for 40K. The container, the container set with all the boxes and all that stuff, they're just base coated right now. They got to be finished. But they're fun. They're actually cool to build and fun to play with. And on a weird side note, I built the Sector Mechanicus Tonka truck set. I don't remember what they exactly called it. I think it's the servo mechanic haulers. And I used the Averland Sunset base coat on that one.
Yep. I was going to ask you about this.
I think you got a bad can. I think you got a very bad. I was just hitting them to, just base coat the bodies. I'm not looking to get the tank treads and everything. Stuff I know that's going to be painted a different color. I wasn't really caring about. Wherever I really concentrated on hitting it, it was okay. It did okay. So I think you got a really bad can, because I didn't have that issue with it glopping and drying on the way out. So.
Well, poop.
Yeah. I'd say return the can, because it's definitely
it's already
defective.
gone. I used it all. It's all good.
Tell Ben. He'll probably hook you up. I built 2 squads of Germans for bolt action. So,
what's that?
Bolt action is a World War II game. I'm actually playing the Germans because a buddy of mine's playing the Russians. And I had to build 2 squads. And if you ever really want to fall in love with Games Workshop again, build some miniatures from other companies.
Right.
Just do it. And you'll learn.
I thought Warlord Games actually did some. Were they the multi-part plastics?
They're the super multi-part plastics.
Okay.
Where, nothing is on the base body. So if you want leather packs and a belt on the guy, you add it. And I mean, they're incredibly flexible kits, and I'm not trying to dog them. They're really, really good. But each soldier takes about 15, 20 parts to make him look the way he should.
Oh, wow.
And his arms it's like building a Necron where each arm is separate. And then you have to put the gun in the right position. Yeah. So you have the infinite flexibility. You can have the guy aiming the gun from his head, or slinging it across his shoulder, or carrying it around his hip. So you can do anything you want, but you really have to pre-plan it and think about what you're doing, and not just slap glue and put them together. So they're definitely, they're a challenge. Okay. So a lot of fun, and they look great when they're done.
Yeah, they do look pretty good.
Yep. What else did I do? I did a video on how to make texture paints for any color you could possibly want.
Nice.
How to build it and then paint, add pigment to Because, you know, the one thing about Sterling Battlemar is if you need brown, that's great. They don't have really a whole lot in the other colors, and I wanted Death Guard, so I made Death Guard. I made Nurgle's Garden for mine, and I'm also going to do a bluish kind of one for my Necron guys.
Okay.
So that you can have texture bases without, you know, having to resort to putting the texture paint on, painting it, highlighting, you know, save a few steps.
That's just too much trouble.
It really
crazy.
is. Huh? It is. It's way too much trouble. There's like 2 extra steps. So, and this is stuff, you can do this stuff for like $2 and have 18 gallons of it.
Right on.
I think that was about it for me. I don't think I painted anything else. I worked a little bit more on my Shadespire stuff, but that was it.
Let me see those Iron Jaws for Shadespire.
Yeah, okay.
I've yet to see those in person.
Okay.
While James recants us with his hobby tales.
No, I think Bill's the hobby hero this week.
No
really?
way.
Yeah.
What?
I've just been lazy.
You got your bell in there?
Yeah, I got my Bellwind done. So I can sit my sweet Gaunt Summoner up there and just nuke half your unit off in one spell. Or 3/4 of it with the way I roll dice.
Well, yeah, there you go.
No, that's about it. I got a busy week coming up with First Blood coming up.
Yeah.
Next weekend, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brian wants to borrow the Stormcast.
Yeah.
So I gotta paint up some
Don't you use some Aether Wings?
Aether Wings I gotta do, and some Vanguard Raptors.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't be too bad. And then maybe help Jules touch up his army. He's chugging along on that right now.
Nice.
But that's it.
Sweet. And we're going to talk more about First Blood when we get to Realm of Battle. So, tournament coming up here.
Why do these stupid models got to look so good?
I don't know. The Shadespire models really are very well done sculpts models, especially for being, you know, the easy push fit. That's a harbinger of things to come, I'm sure, because Games Workshop very rarely backtracks. So these are, the death models are,
Yeah.
if they would just redo the skeleton range to those, I'd be like, okay, you've done enough. I love you.
You'd see Death Rattle
love
armies
you.
everywhere.
Yeah, just because
Whether
they
they're good
look
or not.
I would play them just because they look good again.
Yeah.
So.
Same thing with zombies.
Mm-hmm. So is that our super
I'm going to have
short
to buy those.
zombie?
No, these Iron Jaws for Shadespire, even
Yeah,
though
you
I'm
do.
probably never going to buy Shades or play Shadespire.
You're spoiling the lore section.
I know.
Spoiler alert. So.
Oh, yeah, and I didn't do any hobby.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Hobby's going to be a little thin for me till we get moved. I'm in the middle of planning a move, so
Yay.
house looks like a tornado went off in it.
Well, that's what my house looks like all the time.
Yeah, but at least it's all shrink wrapped still.
That's true. I don't lose stuff.
Yeah.
I wish I had a shrink wrap machine because I would shrink wrap everything
The whole room.
back.
Yep. Your ceiling fan is shrink wrapped. Good Lord.
Lessens the air resistance.
Yeah.
More efficient. I am an engineer. Back off. So let's move on to battle. The
realm of battle. You didn't?
It's not like any of us have anything to talk about. Okay, so for Realm of Battle this week, we're going to talk about First Blood GT next Saturday and Sunday up in Castle Rock, Colorado. I believe the 3 of us will be there.
I will not.
So the 2 of us will be there.
Plus Jules.
And Jules. And Andrew's not going either.
Nope.
Okay, so it'll be the 3 of us. So we'll go up there and we will try to represent. Well, James and Jules will represent, and I'll get the wooden spoon. But it's a big. Right now they got 25, 26,
25 that definitely have their lists and paid
and they're
for.
paid for and signed. And there's like 31 signed up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I know from looking at the list, 3 of those people, I'm pretty sure, or 4 of them, I'm positive are going.
Yeah. So it's gonna be. We're gonna hit the GT mark.
Cool. I just realized that you guys are going to talk about this, and then this episode probably won't drop until Sunday or Monday after it.
Yeah.
So
be there, folks, and buy your ticket now.
Yeah.
And pay the $75. Wink, wink. Yeah. So anyway, we're going to be there, and we hope to have some stirring, rousing stories when we get back.
Yeah.
About drunken trips to the Games Workshop store, that kind of thing.
Nice.
The other thing that happened recently that we were going to recap real quick was Blood and Glory, Ben Curry's big shoe. He's a really big shoe.
Yeah.
Over in that island off the coast of Europe. What do they call that?
England. Yeah.
Okay.
Gibraltar?
No. They're
Scotland.
more norther.
Scotland.
No, it's below Scotland.
Ireland.
No, below both of those.
Africa?
Yeah, I have a queen. Yeah. The African queen. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's called England. It's where Games Workshop lives.
Oh, okay.
So there was a big tournament in a roundhouse, an old train roundhouse, which if you want to really see a venue for an event, take a look at the pictures for Blood and Glory, because somehow Ben glommed onto that roundhouse. It's a beautiful location for a game. And
until all the trains started going through, and then it was a complete massacre.
okay.
But
No.
No?
37 AOS players were killed today when...
Because I was watching the wrong Twitter feed.
Oh, this has gone off the rails really quick. See what I did there?
Oh, God.
So, anyway, Blood and Glory went down.
Yeah.
And what's notable for this is not so much that, it was a tournament and it was in England. But what was really kind of interesting was the mix of armies that were involved.
Well, first of all, I think before we talk about the AOS aspect of it, I think Ben is trying to create a convention.
Oh, yeah,
That's what Blood and Glory is trying to do.
Yeah, he was trying to do an Adepticon level sort of thing.
So, so there was 40K there, there was Shadespire,
he had all kinds of different
kinds of different stuff. So, but yeah, so we kind of wanted to talk about the Age of Sigmar aspect of it because
who cares about anything else?
Well, that and the top placings were Fire Slayers, Quadrant Overlords, and Tzeentch.
I believe
number 3.
Yep.
Yeah, Andrew Hughes with Fire Slayers. He played in the Twitch stream on Warhammer TV.
Yeah.
For the final game. Gary Percival came in number 2 with his
Overlords.
Quadrant Overlords. And then Tony Moore came in 3rd with his Tzeentch list.
Yep.
Right? So
I think so. So, yeah, I mean, that was pretty fantastic. I've been saying since the new handbook dropped that Fire Slayers are the real deal. It's awesome to see them perform. Yeah. And it wasn't just a red herring. I mean, there was 2 Fire Slayers in the top 10, and then there was 2 more in the top 20 or something like that. Quite a bit.
Yeah.
Pretty strong showing.
If you watch that final game on Warhammer TV, which was Fire Slayers against Tzeentch, it was a pretty... I was live for that game, so I was making comments back and forth on the Twitch stream. But it was interesting to watch. Now, the Tzeentch player, which was Tony Moore, who came in 3rd, he was the victim of some really just the first turn bad dice rolling, even with the Tzeentch, Destiny dice and all that stuff, which gives lie to my constant bitching about playing against Tzeentch.
Yeah.
So, but he really did have a really bad first turn. Some of which he made mistakes. He overcommitted himself. But the flip side of that was he had some really bad rolls to do things he wanted to do. And the Fire Slayers just literally, I actually thought watching that game that he was going to be tabled by turn 2. It actually took a little longer, but it wasn't. He lost all. He only had 6 Skyfires, so it wasn't one of those 18 Skyfires in a summoner list. It was a balanced Tzeentch list, but he lost all 6 Skyfires turn 1 before they got to do anything. Now they were a little too far forward, so they ate a lot of gunshots. So
axes. Axes.
Yeah, thrown axes.
Yeah.
The Fire Slayer, Andrew had some Carriage on Overlord allies.
Oh, really?
With the guns, yeah. So he just basically wasted. He used his first turn to eliminate anything that could do a large amount of damage to his mobs, because he was running, 3 units of 30. So he just basically took out anything that could do massive amounts of damage to that. And then it was a case of him mopping up.
Nice.
So yeah, it was a case in point of how to play against Tzeentch or any kind of list that is designed to eliminate threats and MSU kind of things. And he showed where a Horde army can just beat the snot out of really almost anything. I don't see a lot. I don't know. There's a lot of lists that could have picked him apart if they had gotten first turn, if they had gotten to blunt some of that Fireslayer rapid advance and all that, what have you. But it was an amazing game. Fun game to watch, even though it was so one-sided. And I don't want to take anything away from Tony. And I don't want to say he would, played badly, but the way things went, he made certain moves and then didn't get certain die rolls to get into the combats that he wanted, that his Alpha Strike was blunted. And boy, did he pay the price for it. The losing every Skyfire. And then it was just a question of mopping up, really.
Yeah.
So, interesting tournament to see.
Nice.
Very interesting.
So, yeah, just wanted to kind of shine a little light on that. So, yeah. Any of our personal games? Not really. I know I haven't played.
I played some Shadespire with the wife, but that was about it.
Yay, Shadespire.
Yeah, I tried out the Sepulchral Guard. They're pretty flippin' amazing. But if you use them, if you do one thing wrong, it's like dominoes. They just fall apart. But if you do everything right, they have that really weird mechanic where in order to inspire them and make them tougher, they have to die and be brought back. But there's only one guy that can bring them back. So, and he could only bring back one per activation. So you can't just throw bodies at the other guy because you're giving him glory points and you're losing chunks of your army, and it's the slowest moving army in the game. So you have to be real careful with how you use them, but they are very effective. Very effective. If you don't screw up, you can win with them. Problem is, I always screw up. Is that it for battle?
Yeah, I mean, I just had prep games for First Blood.
Yeah.
And just kick some butt at 40k, but that's it.
Nice.
Aren't you I don't know what, undefeated at 40k, 8th edition?
So far.
You haven't lost a game yet, have
Nope, like 15 games in.
Okay. And you're playing what? Zinch?
Zinch Demons. It's all fluffy. It's all Zinch.
It's a good, fluffy.
All Zinch all the time.
That's right. So, let's go on to our double-ended lore. The Realm of Lore. Where this week we're going to talk about this bi-week, we're going to talk about a couple of things. And the first thing we're going to hit is, what do you do when you want to start a new army? We've all been there, faced with that dilemma of what faction army do I want to do next? What do I want to pull the trigger on? And it's not always easy to think about. And I mean, I know basically we're always going to say, and almost everyone's going to tell you, play what you think you're going to have fun with. But what's interesting is we got a comment on the YouTube edition of the podcast. The gentleman was making reference to our podcast and what I think of Zinch armies and people that play them. And he was kind of leery, and he's new to the hobby. He wants to get into it. And again, he'd listened to us, and he was like, I don't know if I want to start Zinch, because if I do, nobody in the playground's going to play with. And I mean, I had to very carefully answer him and say, no, that's not right. And he really wanted to do a mixed chaos list that was Zinch themed, not so much and like I told him, I said, if you're not buying your 5th box of Skyfires, chances are you're in pretty good shape. Don't worry about it. But what we really want to do is talk about how do you look at what your next army is going to be? How do you want to pick it? How do you want to choose it? So Elric, if you had to pick a new army, what would you do?
I would do whatever the internet told me to do.
Yeah, just pick the best net list.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you want to just smash face.
Yeah, that's all I really care about.
Yeah. Just lamentation of their women, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
No,
so James, what would you
Yeah, James. I would look at this backstory and see what drives me.
I would like to create a fluffy army built around a wanderer ranger.
So, what kind of brought this whole thing up initially, this topic, was our buddy Ryan, who is a bit of a butterfly.
Hobby butterfly? Sure.
Yeah. Or, goldfish. Whatever it comes to.
Wow.
Picking an army and holding on to it. He was asking us, what should I pick? And I said, well, here's kind of like some guidelines that I use. Find an army. When you're looking at all the different armies, find an army that has models that kind of speak to you, that stand out to you, that look like they'd be fun to put on the table. Don't worry about whether or not stuff is good or anything like that. Just look for the army that you think is the coolest looking, because then you're going to be more motivated to build it. You're going to be more motivated to paint it. And you're going to be more motivated to play it and put that cool looking stuff on the table. That's my advice, is to always look for the army that you think looks good.
And see, I don't know what you think, James, but that's always like a good first to get someone hooked on the hobby. Buy the army that you want to play, but there's going to reach a point where you want to become competitive. And so, James, what do you think about for the people that want to become competitive? They don't want to just play the game, but they want to go to tournaments and they want to be, maybe not, most people shouldn't really want to go to their first tournament and win it all. What do you think about what do you do if you want to be competitive in that arena?
I always say pick an army that fits your play style, which is you kind of got to determine what kind of player you are, what your strengths and what your weaknesses are, what you're comfortable doing, and then kind of going from there and picking a play style that fits the kind of player you are. If you're a very defensive player, you're probably not going to want an Alpha Strike army. Or if you're, balls to the wall player, something like Nurgle Demons, probably not up your alley.
Or maybe you want to play like a small elite force. So you're going to look for something that's like, I don't know, a bunch of Terminators or
or Stormcast
or Varangard, with Archeon.
Yeah,
it's 9 models for an army.
Yeah, that's another important factor too. Is like, do you want to push around 100 models or do you want to push around 20?
Yeah.
That's back to playstyle. I think it's very important because if you, at some point, the models are cool, but then if the army just doesn't mesh with how you're playing it, and you're not playing to that army's strengths, you're not going to do well with it either. So.
Well, and that's the way I was when I started with Seraphon. I was completely enamored with how they looked and how I thought they played, and then when I saw what they did on the table, I was like, well, I'm putting that on the shelf because they're not fun.
Yeah.
For me, I don't want to say they're not fun. They were not what I wanted out of the hobby or out of the gaming portion of the hobby. I love painting them. Really do.
Right. Yeah. And, you might have to do like a little bit of research. If you want like an army that does lots of shooting, you kind of like the idea of kind of like a gun line or something like that, then you're probably not going to want to play like Iron Jaws or
Corn
Bloodbound or something. But, if you like the idea of an army that charges across and gets stuck in a fight, you're probably not going to want to play like Wanderers or Sylvaneth or something
Free
like
Peoples.
that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it's, it's true. I still refer to the happy accident when my wife destroyed all my armies by killing
display case.
Yeah, the display case. Because I was forced to go to Slobberknocker with an army that I'd never played before. I was not familiar with. I had bought from a friend of ours, Chad, and I ended up having more fun playing that army and realized that that's the army I wanted to play. That's the style I wanted to play and actually enjoyed playing. Yeah. Of course, they just got the Nerf bats smacked around them. So. But that's the story of my life, so what the hell?
Yeah.
I play Death. Yeah, you're stupid. I play BCR. Yeah, now you're really stupid. So
just get in on the Iron Jaws, Bill.
I need to either buy Iron Jaws or Zinch. Just to
You already had Zinch.
Yeah.
And you passed on it.
I did. Because I hated myself for it. I felt dirty.
Iron Jaws.
So
just need something to push it forward. Just push it forward.
Yeah.
I think it's Bill's style.
It really is. The BCR was so much fun because there was not a lot of trickeration.
What? It's a different kind of strategery?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Remember the Bush era? Come on, think back. Think back, Alric. I know you were alive. Okay?
Trickeration, eh?
But no, really, I realized I'm a far more direct person than either Seraphon or Stormcast or Zinch would allow me
you
to
get your
play.
stuff stuck in and you start taking models off right away and
and have fun.
Yeah, blow stuff up. It's cool.
But so when you want to start a new army and you're the guy you really are new to the hobby, so you don't have 2 or 3 armies in your closet to pull out and go, well, I'll just use this at this tournament. So if you're that totally new guy you really do have to kind of look at how each army plays, and it's really hard to figure out how you want to play. What you know, like James, you were saying.
Yeah, if you don't have any experience in the thing, you don't know what kind of player you are exactly.
If you play, I want to say something like World of Warcraft, and if you're the healer in the group, chances are you don't want to play destruction because that's the in-your-face melee people. Maybe you want to be more Nurgle, sit back and just take damage and outlast your opponent. Whereas if you're the tank, if you always like tanking things, maybe you want to play Stormcast, which can actually absorb a bunch of damage and return it.
Yeah.
Or Iron Jaws.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things you can draw allegory to different things that you might do. If you're the D&D player and you always play the Paladin, well, you're a Stormcast guy. You know, I mean, I'm just saying, you are.
Yeah.
But if you're the Tiefling Rogue Thief, chances are you're going to play Zinj. Because you suck at D&D and you're going to suck at AOS.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you could play things like, Beastmen, like, you know, have some trickery stuff or ambushing or Wanderers. Yeah. Things like that, more finesse style. Right. Quadrant Overlords.
Oh, yeah.
Things like that. Yeah. Kind of fragile move. Well, let me make up a word. Moverability.
Yeah. Mover. Most people call it maneuverability.
Whatever. Extra syllables are
so
slowing me down. Obvi.
Ooh, us?
Yeah. I would kind of think about what kind of play style you want. You think you want it, at least, if you're just getting into it. And do a little bit of research. I mean, there's tons of places to find feedback on armies.
Oh, yeah. Or YouTube battle reports are always a good...
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, get on Tabletop Tactics and watch their battle reports, because they go over how the armies work.
Absolutely.
And, you can do the same thing with the Frontline.
Yeah, mini wargaming. There's
so many great battle reports out there.
Battle report channels out there. And then, going off of that, pick an army that you like the models. Just you gotta kind of find ways to narrow it down, thin it out so that you're not, oh man, I'm interested in these 8 separate armies. It's like, well, then you're never going to really pull the trigger. You need to get it down to like 1 or 2,
And that's the thing is you never let, or you shouldn't let, unless your focus is going to be painting, don't let the assembly and the painting of the models be your guide, because you're going to spend probably as much time playing that army as you are painting that army. So
at first, at
first, but after a while, you're going to be stuck with a really nicely painted army that you hate playing. So, really do some research and kind of look at your personality. Look at how you play other games. And it doesn't even have to be World of Warcraft. It could be, how do you play Risk? How do you play Clue? How do you play Monopoly?
Well, I think another big thing too is like, don't just rely, like if you're somebody who's like, oh, I'm a pretty competitive guy and I want to I would like to go to tournaments and I would like to have a chance of winning. Don't just necessarily take what the internet says is like the top list or anything, because if you can't wrap your head around the play style or something, it's not going to matter how good that list is if you can't get it to do what you want it to do, because it's just not that style of an army. I mean, I'm back in 8th edition fantasy, I used to play High Elves, and there was a unit that was called the Queen Star, and it was basically you took a Lariel and a bunch of other characters, crammed them in a giant block, like 25 or 30 man block of
Sword Masters or Temple Guard?
White Lions.
White Lions.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they were super unkillable, blah, blah, blah. The internet said it was the greatest thing. All this other stuff. I could not, for the life of me, get that unit to work.
Right.
I just could not wrap my head around it. So I scrapped it and made a calf bus, and I started smashing tournaments left and right with, something that the internet didn't say was
it was
the
play
best,
style
but
it
was a really good army, and it fit my play style. So, you're going to have to kind of figure out the way you want to play the game too. You can't just say...
and the thing that just won Blood and Glory was 2 months ago a list that said that everyone said could not win a tournament.
Oh, yeah.
That just won one of the biggest tournaments. So, just when you look at the net list,
look at Byron's list.
Yeah.
That won
won
the GW finals.
That's right.
I mean, that's not something people would be like, oh, that's obviously.
Yeah, I'm going to stumble onto that list because it was easy. So, yeah, and keep in mind, when you look at the net list, even if it's an hour old, chances are it's 30, 40, 50 days old. It's probably not the thing anymore.
Well, I think right now there's a little more shelf life because we're just not getting anything for HSC.
Yeah,
we're in a lull period right now.
There hasn't been anything new since Overlord, so...
But the flip side of that is, I don't know, there's too many people that could take Byron's list and mimic those results.
Yeah.
So you have to have a lot. I mean, he has a lot of experience playing that list.
Sure.
So if you're the new guy, don't worry about what we say. Play what you want. Enjoy what you're doing, but make sure it's something that you want to continue, because the last thing you want to do, and Rob Symes hits this pretty big on the Honest Wargamer, best source of information isn't always the people trying to sell you. So if you go to a source that's like Lustria Online, chances are they're going to sell you a Seraphon army. I'm just saying, they might. And if you go to Stormcast or us, chances are they're going to tell you the only army worth taking is Stormcast. So kind of consider what the source is.
Yeah. All right. And the other thing we wanted to touch on was, is GW putting out stuff too fast? Or what's going on with all that? Right?
Well, yeah, we wanted to cover, and it's actually, there's been a few videos, and there's sort of a lot of talk in the gaming wider world, not just the Games Workshop world. But are there too many games coming out right now from too many sources, where it leaves us in a point to where our choices are too vast? There's far too much coming out for the average person to afford. And are we thereby missing some gems because we buy the swine? Within the GW framework, we can see, and I made a quick list, and if you guys will bear with me, in the last year, we've had Gorchos in Blood Bowl, Shadow War Armageddon, we're getting Necromunda, we've had AOS 2017's General Handbook, we've had 40K 8th edition, the Horus Heresy games came out, Burning at Prospero, and what's the other one? Betrayal at Calth.
Oh, Betrayal at Calth is older than that. Burning at Prospero.
Yeah, Burning at Prospero, but these are just the recent.
Shadows over Hammerhall.
Yeah, we have Shadespire, we have Death Guard, Stormcloud Attack, Silver Tower, Shadows over Hammerhall.
Or Hammer Quest, Shadows over Hammerhall.
Sure, that thing.
You got it in shrink wrap right behind you.
Yes, well, I can't see it because of the shine from the shrink wrap. So that's just a quick list of the things that have come out.
Yeah.
And
is it too much?
Is it really too much? I mean, we talked earlier about just Silver Tower. You sold your Silver Tower because there was no point in having it.
Yep.
I have it. Chad has it.
The most as a group we've ever done with with Warhammer Quest was we sat down and assembled the pieces of Silver Tower. Mm-hmm. And that was it. We never played the game, never did anything with it. We've, as a group, have played a few games of Shadespire, and that's it so far. We have Necromunda just around the corner. I bought a Blood Bowl team, never played Blood Bowl, the new Blood Bowl. I have no intention of playing Necromunda. I think it's a issue of just not having time for any of this stuff.
And that's the whole thing. If you eliminate money as a... Let's just say we were all sitting on a trust fund.
Yeah.
So money was not an object. We still wouldn't have the time to play all these things. I mean, I even forgot the Lost Patrol, but that came out probably more than a year ago.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's all these things that have come out. And I know when Shadow War Armageddon came out, I was completely enamored with that game. Joined the league, built all the stuff, did everything.
I was super hyped.
And... yeah, and now it's just like, I simply, there's no more leagues going on. There's no more impetus to play it. I'm frightened that my purchase of Necromunda is going to be the exact same thing.
I can almost guarantee it will be.
Which probably. I bought everything Blood Bowl right when it came out.
Yep.
Because A, I love football, and B, I like GW stuff.
Sure.
C, I love the old Blood Bowl, and this one's no different. And I have yet to play a full game.
Okay, here's a question. Are we finally starting to see why specialist games died in the first place?
You know, is it that they're over? And I know this is a weird period of time because there's a new 40K edition, and that kind of does overshadow
It takes
everything.
all the oxygen out of the room.
It really does.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I don't see myself going back to... And I love Blood Bowl. I've had more fun doing Blood Bowl,
Yeah.
you know, than...
No, never been a fan.
I mean, I found it a lot of fun, but I don't see myself having the time to assemble and paint up a team, get involved with the group. I mean, and we have a hugely active group at the local game store. I mean, they had a, 20-person?
I don't know. Every time
tournament?
they do a Blood Bowl league at the game store here in town, it's huge.
I mean, it's just, is there just too much out there to keep up with? I mean, in between all of those, you know, the games, the specialist games that I was mentioning, we had Blight War come out. We have all these other things that came out that just suck up hobby. Do they need to slow down?
Oosh. I don't know. I think you would have to look at it from how much, do they invest in these things? How much of it can successfully cross over? I know with Shadespire, they've been putting out War Scrolls so you can use them in Age of Sigmar. I don't know if they'll be doing that with anything else, really. I mean, I know you and I are super excited for Titanicus when it comes out,
God, yeah.
But is that a game we're actually... I mean, you were just talking earlier about how you have this Sword and Sorcery Kickstarter, and that's... I mean, I would love to play that right now, and it's still sitting
in a box on the floor, under the cabinet, under the shelves.
Yeah. So, I don't know. And then next year, we got the role-playing games coming out.
That's right.
Both the Age of Sigmar and the Old World for fantasy, and then there's a 40K.
There's a 40K game coming out, and...
so that's more time, and that's probably what I'd be looking forward to the most, even more so than
a role-playing game,
the tabletop.
Yep.
And yet, I still don't know if we'll have enough time to squeeze any of that stuff in.
Still want to play AOS because, we podcast about the damn game.
Yeah. So, it's kind of there's so much out there. I guess you have to just kind of pick and choose, and then based off of what I don't know. I want to say based off what we pick and choose, Games Workshop will use that to kind of tailor what they do. But if every one of these things they put out, people go absolutely crazy about it, buy it all up the first week, and so they have it, but then they never touch it again.
Right.
Like Shadespire, like Necromunda probably will be. Then we're kind of sending GW a mixed message of like, yeah, no, we're super into this, but not.
But for only a month.
Yeah.
Or whatever the release cycle is,
Right.
But see, now let me hit you with the flip cycle of that. Shadow War Armageddon came out.
Right.
And it came out with some, it came out with scouts, Marine scouts, and orc dudes. But everyone knew that everyone was going to be either using or buying whatever they needed for their Dark Eldar, because the rules came out at the same time for every faction. So you could play your Necrons, your Dark Eldar, your Harlequins, whatever you wanted in the game. So in reality, Shadow War Armageddon has come out. It's in the galaxy. It's in the game space. And it doesn't need any more support. It doesn't need anything else. The people that are devoted to that game have everything they need to maintain their devotion. And if we want to pick it up 6 months from now and play a few games, we have everything we need.
Yeah.
The same thing applies to a half a dozen of these games that are on this list. Blood Bowl. If you have the base game, you can play it. Maybe not with the exact team that you want, but you can play the game. So, is that their marketing strategy? Is that their whole thing of, we don't need to be pumping out expansions and all this other stuff for these games, because once they're out there in the wild, they get a life of their own.
I think that's true to an extent. I mean, Shadow War is a little different. Shadow War was just a book. And so it wasn't really that much of an investment on their part, other than to have some rules writers sit down and come up with a skirmish style.
And redo the old.
Yeah.
I mean, in reality, all they did was kind of update the old rules, because it really is a throwback to the old Necromunda.
Right.
So,
whereas the new Necromunda looks like a board game, but
and it looks a little bit, it's more along the modernistic lines.
Yeah. And then people bought the Shadow War box because the terrain was fantastic. So I think comparing like something like Shadow War to something like Blood Bowl or Shadespire, Shadespire, it's a little different, because Blood Bowl, they're going to constantly putting out new teams.
But are they?
I don't see why not. I mean,
sure, every 3 months or so, maybe.
Yeah.
But
same thing with Shadespire.
Well, but Shadespire is coming out pretty fast and furious because of the release right now. It will taper off, I'm sure, but...
Yeah, maybe.
But keep in mind, they're doing that as a living kind of card game, so they have to kind of keep it living.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It will be interesting to see how many people are still playing Shadespire 3 months from now.
Mm-hmm.
After some more stuff for 40K comes out, Necromunda comes out, AOS finally gets... something,
releases.
Another army or two gets released for it. It'll be interesting to see if people are still playing Shadespire, because I've not seen anybody playing any of the other stuff that's come out.
And that's just it
other
makes you wonder.
Other than diehard Blood Bowl fans that don't really play anything other than Blood Bowl. They don't play 40K.
But see, that's where I think that they don't see it as an issue. Someone like me, who's a completionist and must have everything, sees it as an issue, because I can't keep up. But do they see it as a problem when they're offering so many product lines? And keep in mind, they're also in competition with Fantasy Flight Games now, because they're not in bed together. They're in competition with Zombicide and all those other games for people's attention. And yes, I mean, they have a core group that only play these kind of games. There's a huge group of people that only play 40K. A huge group of people that only play AOS.
Right.
But I believe Shadespire was that attempt to get into the mainstream game market. And that means a whole different commitment from them.
I think it's just a balance on their part of how much do we have to invest in it versus what we expect our return will be. So if it's something of kind of like a niche thing, like Shadow War potentially was, then, how much did we invest in it? A couple of rules writers spending a few months, maybe. I don't know. Maybe they spent a lot of time doing it, and then how much it costs to print and ship the books, as opposed to something like Shadespire. I mean, when you look at Shadespire, it's only a handful of models per faction, and some cards.
And once they get a bunch of models out there, all they have to do is release card decks. And we can see how quickly they can shovel out card decks, and it changes the game. So they can keep it alive that way.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess you'd probably have to analyze some of their marketing / sales to see if it really is affecting them or not. I don't know.
But are they diluting their own sales? I mean, is Necromunda pulling sales away? Now, I understand the way the release works. Next week, there's nothing but Necromunda coming out. There's no Primaris Space Marines. There's no Death Guard. There's no new Eldar models.
Yeah.
So they're not going to snipe their own sales. But is Necromunda going to torpedo some of their 40K sales or some of their AOS sales? I mean, us AOS players, we have been in with the exception of the GHB 2017, there hasn't been anything since...
Garage and Overlords. Since Adepticon in March.
June or March?
No.
Wow, okay, so that's even worse.
Yep.
So we've gone almost a year. Well, 9
months.
We
got Skirmish, we got Path to Glory,
Okay, but those are not appealing to the crowd that keeps AOS alive.
Yeah, I don't play those.
Skirmish,
sure.
I mean, look at James.
Okay, but the same thing could be said that if they came out with Elves as the next army, there's going to be plenty of people that are like, okay, well, I'm not buying any of that.
Sure, but there's a hell of a lot more wide-ranging appeal than, I mean, Skirmish, I don't think sold a lot of models, which is what GW relies on. I don't think, because we all had Skirmish, I didn't have to buy anything to make a Skirmish army.
I did.
You did?
That's how I started my Fire Slayers. Because it justified
but you
me.
changed armies. Yeah, you justified it.
Yeah.
So if you'd have played a real...
But if I didn't have Skirmish to play Fire Slayers, then I would have had to buy a crap ton of Fire Slayers before I could actually play them.
See, you're a good American consumer. I like you now.
Bill, you're a whole bottle in. We're just spinning a gerbil wheel here.
I spun it on you. But now, James, you're not going to buy Necromunda.
No, I'm not gonna buy any of these. I don't buy any of these side games. Well, I think these games are geared towards a different crowd. I think they're literally board games. If you think about board game players, I think a lot of the board game players have a variety of board games. They have 10, 15 games. Mm-hmm. They're not playing Monopoly every week. They're playing, other games, and they're playing, they have a whole library of stuff they can play. This week we feel like this. This week we feel like that.
Yeah, every Friday night it's a different game.
Yeah, I think what James is saying is if the latest Necromunda gang doesn't allow me to play on the top tables, then it's useless to me.
Yep. Or if I can't get models for cheaper.
Yeah, there you go. No, yeah, it's kind of two different crowds in a way. The board game crowd and the tabletop crowd. But there's a lot of crossover, obviously.
Yeah, I think there is crossover, but maybe that's why we're not seeing a lot of pickup on these things. We're just not part of that.
Yeah, maybe.
So what about managing expectations? So I'm a 40K guy.
Okay.
And I'm a Necron. My first army is Necrons.
Okay.
And I haven't even seen Necrons on the release schedule.
Sure.
So if I'm the guy on a budget, I'm not buying any of this stuff that comes out until I see my Necrons. I'm not buying into any of the other stuff. Does that have any impact on them at all? I mean, do they even... It makes me wonder if they even care. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean
No, I think when they come up with new things, they say, well, yeah, there's always going to be a part of our hardcore base that's just not going to buy this because it doesn't include Necrons or it doesn't include... But they know that that's fine.
I'm a Dark Eldar guy. I'm used to waiting 12 years.
I'm gonna yeah. All right, yeah. Cry me a river. Try playing orcs. Anyways, I think the way they look at it is we won't get Bill's money right now because...
but they will.
But they will. So I'll use James as an example. When
far better
we release Eldar, obviously James isn't going to buy Eldar because he's not interested. Mm-hmm. But there's plenty of people who will. But we know that when we get around to doing demons,
next
we will get James's money.
Yeah.
So I think you just have to take that into account.
And they most likely have that thing formulaically applied.
Sure.
To where, go figure, Space Marines was the first drop. Yeah. We know that. And then the next drops were next in order of things that people wanted to see. And the majority was out there. But I still wonder, all the specialist games, and I'm not knocking any of them. I think they're all great. And they all appeal to a niche group. But I just wonder how much effort they're sniping off, how much development time they're sniping off to make these things when they could be concentrating on the two main things that matter, AOS and 40K.
And The Hobbit.
I'm playing devil's advocate here. I am not saying there's anything wrong with the way they're doing business. Right now, I am happy as a clam. This is the best period of time I've ever been involved.
Well, you're saying that is it too good? I think that's
the whole thing. Is it too good?
Too much?
And I come at this, and I don't want to sound like a jackass, but I'm at a point in my life to where the things that they come out with I can afford, and I don't think twice about buying everything that comes out. But I also know that 10 years ago, if this was happening, I could have bought maybe a 10th of what was coming out.
Sure.
Maybe a 10th of what was out there. So, I mean, I'm just wondering if maybe this stuff should be spaced out more so that more people have access to it. Keeping in mind that some of this stuff goes away. You can't get Silver Tower. You can't get Stormcloud Attack anymore.
No, that Stormcloud Attack was a one-off thing.
Right.
A lot of that stuff
games, the Lost Patrol game, the Gore Chosen game.
Yeah.
I might be really, really interested in it, but I can't buy it. And I'll never have it.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I'll always be able to buy Blood Bowl because that's a thing. But, some of these things that fly by, it's painful to watch them go by knowing that you can't get it. You can't have it. And you probably never will.
No, you can still get Silver Tower.
Is it really?
Yeah, and you can get Shadows over Hammerhall.
Oh, I thought it was done.
Nope.
I really thought I saw that on the last Chancer. Okay.
And you can still get there's 2 boxes now. I didn't know this. Of the Arcane Heroes. And this is something we didn't announce. The Chaos Adversaries cards.
Oh, for Warhammer Quest.
Yeah.
Yeah, we forgot to talk about those. They were even in the White Dwarf.
Yeah, so...
We are bad at our job.
There you go. Yeah, no, there's still plenty of support for Warhammer Quest. We just haven't seen a new one of them come out. But I think, Shadows over Hammerhall came out this year. So maybe we'll see a 3rd box next year.
Well, and the beauty of that game, too, is really to update it. All you have to really do is put out a new Quest book. You don't have to put a new box set out.
Yeah, and if they continue to do like Shadows over Hammerhall, then it's all just older models, existing models, so they don't have to invest any money in that. And then you just invest in the story, the rules. Mm-hmm. So I would imagine.
So we're okay with the release schedule then?
Honestly, yeah. You just play what you want. Mm-hmm. GW's going to put out what they want. You play what you want. Just be a little. If you can't be a Bill that buys everything, that's fine. Pick and choose what you want, and keep in mind that the dollars in your pocket aren't the only currency you have. You also have to think about your time. That's why
that's the biggest thing.
I was hyped. I was super hyped about Warhammer Quest. I was also kind of hyped about Shadespire, and I don't play either of them. I have no intention of playing either of them anymore because the little bit of time that I have for gaming is going to be dedicated almost exclusively to Age of Sigmar.
See, and that's
with
a shame,
40K sprinkled in if I can get it, but
I think Shadespire is such a great. It's that perfect game where if you do have a half hour, you can play a game.
I just never have. The amount of time it takes to drive either to someone's house or to the game store,
right?
To just then sit there and play a 30-minute game and drive all the way back. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yep.
So I need to section off a 6-hour chunk of time so that I can set sail across the Rio Grande to the game store and then play a game of Age of Sigmar.
Play a real full game.
Yeah.
Of the system that is chosen.
Pretty much.
Yep.
So, I think...
So our takeaway is build the army you want, but make sure you know what you want to build.
Yeah, or at least narrow it down as tight as you can. And
buy everything GW puts out.
Everything. Was there anything else?
Do we have anything else in the extras? I hate to say we're not going to resolve that question of are they putting things out too fast, because it's really not up for us to resolve. It's a personal choice. So we're not going to answer that one. I think we did answer the what faction do you go with? But again, it's still personal choice. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for. We're about to announce the winner of the Rolling Bad Podcast contest for ireadAoS.
Chewing on that scenery, aren't you, Bill?
You betcha. So,
yeah,
we have put all the entrants into random.org, pulled up a random number, and Elric.
And the winner is Dan from the AOS Shorts podcast. He will be receiving a copy of Spear of Shadows.
Nice.
So, Dan, if you could just, and we already messaged privately, so if you could just send me your
mailing
address, I'll have a copy of the book sent to you. So, for our next giveaway, for our Black Library AOS giveaway, I'm going to have to figure out a way to streamline it, I think, because we can't do hashtag ireadAoS again.
That's already used.
Yeah. And it can't do like ireadAoS 2 or something
like
that. Yeah. So going to have to figure something out.
I still like if they send us $20.
Yeah.
We'll send them a raffle ticket.
Yeah. So on our next episode, we will announce a new competition in order to get another one of the AOS Black Library books. So keep an ear out for that. And it was awesome to see how many responses we got for it.
Heck, we had a couple of Black Library authors that were putting it out there too.
Yeah,
so,
that was awesome. Bit of clarification, just liking the tweet or retweeting the tweet didn't work. You needed to use the hashtag
in
ireadAoS in a tweet. Yeah. So
if
I'm
you
not sure if
you
people
were
were
in
confused
it and all you
about
did
it.
was retweet, it didn't work.
Didn't work. So that's why I think the next one we'll have to come up with a way to make it easier and reusable.
I think probably like a 200-word essay on why I read AOS. Might,
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe not.
We'll come up with something.
Sure will.
So, alrighty. Well, thank you everyone who participated.
Yes, and keep reading AOS and don't just tell us, tell Games Workshop.
Absolutely.
That you've been reading their books so they know, and tell Black Library that you're reading these books so they know there's a market out there.
Yep.
So that's all we're trying to do is make sure that they see there's a market for this stuff.
Alrighty. I think that's our show.
I think so.
Anything else you guys want to solve? Any pending issues in the world?
Nope. It's coming to the holiday season, which means January should be here shortly. And maybe some AOS.
We didn't even touch on the leaked gift boxes.
Oh, yeah,
that were
true.
Announced.
Mm-hmm. Let's cut them next time.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a clearer picture.
A better, view of what's coming. So, because they look sweet.
Yeah.
So
very good.
Yeah. All right. Wrap it up.
Good night, everybody.
And now for something completely different.
So, I was way off. My bad.
We're going to edit this out, right?
No. After a full bottle of wine, I don't give a
Bazinga!
What's he going to do? Come over here and yell at me?
Well, what's on the television then? Looks like a penguin.
And when I tell you that Zinch players are, they have small male... Don't believe anything. Don't. It's not true. So...
You dirty double-crossing rat!
As a veteran...
How many glasses have you had?
It's Veterans Day. I can say that, and I had a full bottle of wine.
You've had a full bottle of wine?
Yes, sir, because you don't... Well, James doesn't drink, and you wouldn't join me, so...
I'm not drinking Chardonnay.
Why not?
I don't drink wine.
It's ménage à trois. Just saying.
Really? Yeah, that's not a stout.
You're right. It's not a stout. Oh, my God. I have to drag these people kicking and screaming into the 21st century.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to shoot you. Right over.
Yes, we need a winner of the ireadAoS.
Yep, I gotta use the restroom first, though.
Is that when you're going to do the work?